So, welcome everybody again. Let's continue with session 5, which is talking about how we communicate terminology and the dissemination of terminology. Our first speaker is Cristina Valentini, Head of Terminology Unit of PCT Translation Division of Wipo. And she will be talking about terminology across borders, the example of Wipo Pill.
Thank you. So I would like to thank you, first of all, the organizers, Uzei, for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to present our work at Wipo. So I'll jump straight into the presentation. And I would like, first of all, to introduce you to the World Intellectual Property Organization, Wipo, which is a specialized UN agency for intellectual property. And so in particular, we deal with patents, trademarks, industrial designs, copyright, and very recently traditional knowledge, protection of traditional knowledge. So the mission of Wipo is to deliver global services for protecting intellectual property. And his mission is also to shape international IP rules by approving and ratifying treaties, international treaties. Use IP for development to promote development of countries that still need to invest in intellectual property and in inventions, and provide access to the world's IP information. Wipo administers a series of treaties, and one of these treaties is the Patent Cooperation Treaty. The Patent Cooperation Treaty, called also PCT, is a unified procedure for filing patent applications in 152 states. There are 152 contracting states as of today. We have 10 publication languages, which are the 6 UN languages, plus a number of 4 more languages that are strategic for the work in intellectual property and patents in particular. And these are Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, and German. So it's a unique palette of languages within the UN institutions. And it is, the Patent Cooperation Treaty is not a granting procedure. So if you file an invention through the PCT system, it doesn't allow you to have protection for your invention, for your patent worldwide, but it's just a system that gives you a priority date that allow you to develop further your invention and then decide whether your invention you can proceed and try to have the territorial rights, which is only granted by the different states. Okay, so it's the patents are territorial rights that can be granted only by the different states. But this is a unified procedure that allows inventors to gain more time and to have a date of priority for their invention. The aim of the PCT is to improve access to patents via the publication of these patent applications in PatentScope, which is the database of patent applications, and that presently has 71 million patents, of which 3.5 million are PCT applications, international applications, and the rest are national collections that come and have been given to Wipo by the different member states. For example, we host the USPTO, the American patent database, we host the Russian patent database, etc., etc. Within the Patent Cooperation Treaty, we also translate, and we give this service of translating titles, abstracts, and drawings of these international patent applications into English and French, which are our target languages. We also translate patentability reports. That is another service offered to the clients, to the applicants. And we translate these reports from these, all the languages, the 10 languages, the 9 languages into English. And these currently amounts to 160 million, over 160 million of words per year of translation. So, PCT terminology. The aim of terminology within the PCT translation division is to, first of all, to ensure translation quality and efficiency. So it was born and it originated as a service to translators. But we soon realized that by establishing terminology, and it would be possible, and it actually is, it could be one of the main aims to foster and to promote technical communication, and also offer actually terminology as a way to promote also multilingual knowledge and information. As said, the data set that we deal with are patents. So the corpus that we're dealing with is first of all patents, and we extract technical and scientific terms from patents. We also have a small set of legal terms presently, which are related to the PCT treaty and regulations. Very soon, and this is a new mandate that my unit and my division has received, we will also be dealing with the other areas of intellectual property, such as trademarks, copyright, that are presently dealt with by other language services in the organization. So my unit and my division has been given the mandate by the Director General to harmonize basically the procedures and methodology to come up with coherent terminological data in these other areas. And this is really new. We had this information, received this information just in October, last October. And so one of the other mission of the PCT terminology work is also to train. First of all, train our internal translators to terminology, train the fellows that come for a short period of time, and young graduates who joined Wipo and the PCT terminology work, and train also external users and external contributors, and I will talk a little bit more about this in a minute. Finally, as the aim of the organization of Wipo is to share knowledge, the mission of the PCT terminology work is also to share globally, okay, the resource that we've created. And we do this by creating Wipo Pearl, which is the portal for terminology at Wipo. This is a freely accessible database and that you can consult on Wipo website. So what are the characteristics of Wipo Pearl and PCT terminology work? First of all, the high quality of the contents. It is an ISO-compliant term-based definition. It is human-generated, validated, and QC'd. So we have these 3 steps for releasing the information in Wipo Pearl, the terminological data in Wipo Pearl. And the results list, the hit list, shows key information about the term usage, so head term, preferred term versus synonym or abbreviations, recommended versus obsolete terms. We do also have definitions, but we do not draft definitions as a general rule. There are some exceptions to that. But we tend to have include definitions. We want to include the definitions in context. So we have defining context, knowledge-rich context. And it also provides a link to other occurrences of terms in patents. So there is a link, there's a kind of concordance system, okay, that brings the user to patent scope, which is the patent database. It is therefore also very, we think, reliable. Reliability is another aspect of Wipo Pearl because only validated contents are published. The validation has 2 steps, could be done by linguists, and it could also be done by linguists and subject field experts. And we have a different reliability code that distinguish these 2 different types of validation. And so there is a term reliability score that is assigned and it's visible. There is a clear identification of translation proposals or proposed terms. And for those terms, there is usually no context. The source is us. And then the score that we give is much lower score compared to the allowed or terms that for which we have found a context in a reliable source. The corpora that we use are typically made out of patents and scholarly articles and journals. So we only use reliable sources for our terms. And we also provide the link from each term to the corresponding patent applications if the source is a patent. We also monitor the term life cycle, and we offer to the users the opportunity to see what is the date of the last modification done, okay, and when the record has been last validated or modified. In terms of capability, the terminology unit, my unit, is in charge of the workflow and the project management. And we have staff experience in patent translation and terminology, currently over 70 people that are involved. Translators are typically given time on a weekly basis to perform terminology work that we, in my unit, we coordinate. They are given time to create new records, contribute terms, or populate the database with new terms, or they are given time to validate. They are given a list of terms that have been contributed and that they need to have a look and validate. Okay. We have a program, which is the PCT Terminology Fellowship Program, which is an ongoing recruitment of terminology trainees. So those are young graduates of universities that typically have a background in terminology or applied linguistics or corpus linguistics, and they come and spend 3 months with us. It's a paid fellowship, and the program is launched every year in the beginning of January. And so it's the details of the program is as well on Wipo Pearl website. We have a number of external collaborations and with universities and also other institutions, but I'll come back to this last point in a minute. What is the coverage of Wipo Pearl? We have 29 subject fields and 311 subfields in science and technology. Basically, any field of knowledge in which an invention can be filed is covered by Wipo Pearl. So it's a huge scope. And so as said, we have scientific and technical terms. We do not have phraseology, that we do not have collocations or semi-technical phrases that are found typically in patents. We do not include those. We don't have nomenclatures. We don't have names of states or countries. We really have concentrate on scientific and technical terms. The key sectors in which we work are the key sectors of technological innovation, typically computer science, information technology, telecommunications, electronics, genetics, biochemistry, nanotechnology, to name just a few. And those sectors of technological innovation vary depending on the countries and on the languages. So for some languages, we have more coverage than others. In a specific field of, subject field. We also have legal terminology, and as I said already, we've been given the mandate to harmonize the intellectual property legal terminology across the organization recently. Finally, this is also something that is gonna come, we hope soon. We've been asked by other organizations, UN and international organizations in Geneva, to have their collections published in Wipo Pearl as a separate collection, basically. And these are we've been in contact with ILO, the International Labour Organization, and the World Trade Organization. So this is work in progress. As said, we have the 10 languages, 6 UN languages plus the 4 that are of interest to patents, for a 45 language, total of 45 different language combinations. And we have key language combinations of interest for patents, and the languages that are more interesting for patents are typically English, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and German. And then we have other less common combinations For example, we can go from Korean into Spanish, from Chinese into Arabic. So those are also interesting, ways of looking at this resource, because typically they're not covered by lexicographical or terminological resources worldwide. So it's a world resource. Concerning the structure of the data, terms are ontologically organized. So the principle is one concept, one record. The concept relations are clearly established at the entry level. So those are associative and hierarchical and non-hierarchical relations, associative and partitive and generic. And in order to best take advantage of the data that we have devised two search interfaces in Wipo Perl. One is the traditional term lookup, linguistic search, and another one is the other one, which is more innovative, is the concept map search. So you can browse basically the data by looking at the concepts. And this last concept map search also integrates and includes artificial intelligence and recently machine learning algorithms. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. So it's an ontological resource, so it doesn't have the formalism of an ontology, but it has the structure of an ontology. It could be made, and it's one of our aims to change it into a machine-readable, data set. So here is the interface of Wipo Perl for the linguistic search. This is the new look and feel. It's not yet live. We hope to be live by the end of the year, but the functionalities are the same. So nothing has changed. It's just a look and feel. There is a global IP interface project at Wipo that tries to basically harmonize the look and feel of all the applications offered as a service to the users. So, this is the traditional lookup. So you have here if it works. You can just enter the term, and the system automatically recognizes or tries to recognize the language. Or you can, choose your source language or target language and your subject field. You can also browse and focus your search by selecting a subject field. And what is interesting is that here you have the resources, and what you see is that nowadays only the PCT term base is the available resource, which is the term base that has been created by the PCT translation division. And the other resource available is Wipo Translate. Wipo Translate is a machine translation engine that is being developed entirely at Wipo, and is now being used also in many UN organizations as the machine translation basically engine. And recently, 2006 and end of 2006. They've changed the approach, and they have integrated neural machine translation. So now we have both. We have phrase-based machine translation and neural machine translation, statistical and neural. And the results of Wipo Translate are also integrated into Wipo Perl, and I'll show you how. And here there are other options. Then once the search is launched, you have the results. You have the term hit list here. So you can just click and go to the record on which you're interested in, or you can see here the term that has been found. Okay, so it's a fuzzy search by default, and here the term reliability is clearly shown, as well as the subject field to which this record pertains. Okay. And what you can do is that you can expand, the information that is available in the hit list, and you can to see the context, which includes a definition, typically includes a definition. And here you have also the reference to the international patent application from which this definition has been taken. And the same for the synonyms. So all synonyms must have a context, in order to prove that the usage, of the term or of the word. Excuse me. Yeah, 1 minute. Oh, I'll never be able to do it. I'll try to squeeze. Okay, so here there are other options when you are in the search linguistic search interface. You can do, there are three more functionalities. You can show the concept map, so you can retrieve the concept map and make the concept map appear within this linguistic search. You can find images, and that directs you to Google Images. And then you can also try the concordancing function and go to pattern scope and retrieve all occurrences of that term in the pattern corpus. So if you click on the concept map display, you come up with the concept map. And here I want to show you the, which is exactly what you get here if you go to the concept map search interface. But I want to show you how this works first, before showing you the maps. So concept map search, it's a browsing system, it's a browser basically. So you can click on these bubbles, which represents the concepts that we have in the different subject fields. You can select here the language. So, and these actually, it changes, you will see that it varies, the size and the shape of the bubbles varies depending on many concepts we have in the different languages. If you click on any of these, for example, chemistry, you go to the subfield, the next level, and then you can click again, and then on the bubble, and you go to the actual concept map, okay, that shows you all the concepts related in that particular subfield. And what you can do is also try a search by concept. So you can enter here your, type in your term in English in this case, and then select, it's an auto-suggest function, select, and then you can, and you get the map as we have seen before, but what you can do is that, oh, papa, this also, okay, yeah. What you can do is that you can select, okay, you see, oh, I don't want to see all of this, I just want to, I'm only interested in seeing the path between two concepts, okay? And so you can try to limit, okay, your concept map, shrink your concept map, and you can select as a target concept. And then what you have is these, sorry. What you have is a subset, okay, that actually tells you how, in this case, cosmetic is linked to concealer. And what is interesting is that the system opens up another window that suggests you all the terms that are in the concept map, plus the synonyms that they are also shown, and it structures the search for to send it to pattern scope, okay? So this is a way in which we think it, terminological data is interesting for pattern searchers, because they'll be able to exploit the semantic field and choose which concepts are more interesting for them and which synonyms they want to use in order to launch the research. The synonyms are linked by an OR function, and all the terms are linked by an AND function, but you can change it and, choose one or the other. I'll just finish with, I'm really sorry, but did I speak for 30 minutes? Really? 20, okay. So last but not least, we have in the concept map system, search interface, we have the concept clouds. And in the concept clouds, we integrate machine learning, and we use artificial intelligence in order to elicit and to find information about the concept relations that are not existing, but that may exist because of the information that is embedded in the context. And so you can click on the little cloud over here, and then have the basically the suggested relations. Okay. I just wanted to mention very briefly my last slide before I leave. I'm really sorry. If you want, I can share the information afterwards. So what we do is, so we're trying to disseminate, okay, the activities that we do, and in particular, we're trying to disseminate the terminology and the use of terminology in patents. And to do this, we have partnerships with international organizations, with governmental organizations. We have a partnership with Termiom, Translation Bureau of the Government of Canada. And we do thematic terminology. And we also have a range of universities with which we collaborate, so that have modules in terminology, and we have the students basically work in specific subjects that are interesting for patents, and we give them guidelines on how to work on patents and terminology. And then we work together, we vet the terms, we validate the contents, and then we have them introduced and published in Wipo Pearl. So, and here there is a number of colleagues that, that are already collaborating with us, Dublin City University, Geneva, and then soon Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary next year. So I invite everybody who's interested, I mean, in these partnerships to come and talk to me. Okay, sorry for being late.
Thank you very much for this interesting contribution. And do we have any questions?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Just out of curiosity,
Yes.
how do you deal with terminological variation in multinational languages like French, Spanish? There is a sort of neutral model, neutral.
We actually we are not a normalizing or standardizing agency or organization. We describe language use. So what we do, we base our choice of preferred versus synonym term versus synonyms on the basis of the available data. Of course, this is often not the case, in the sense that you have many concurrent terms that appear more or less with the same frequency. In that case, is linguistic adequacy that we choose. I mean, the most adequate from the linguistic point of view is the one we privilege. And then conversely, if we have a Spanish variant or a Latin American variant, we decided that we will privilege the Spanish variant. This is really, a solution that's been, adopted as an economical solution. As we've decided that we will use American English before British English, because American English is the language of the organization. So that's an economical use of the language. But for instance, for Portuguese, it's the other way around. The reason is why patents come from Brazil, most of them. So we have more data in Brazilian Portuguese than in Portuguese from Portugal. So it's an economical, solution for but it's the first, but if the term is found more frequently in Latin American Spanish, we use the Latin American version. So there is, the choice is made on the basis of different factors and elements.
Yes, this is interesting. You could have lots of discussion on this terminology as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
Because when you present this, you could think that in order to be unique, you would use a term that's not already in the database, which would make your patent more interesting.
Yeah.
Perhaps this was not my question. Rather, what's behind this? Do you intend to follow up on usage and see which of the interfaces would be preferred? For example, how do people react to the concept map search, etc.?
Actually, we have some data, and it seems as if the concept maps are the ones that are more used. And it was really funny. I don't know if it's because it's a kind of playing also. You play with the screen. It has it's more in the in the stream of gamification, in the industry. So basically, you can retrieve actually the same data. So if you click on if you see the concept map, and you can click on the term, and you get the full record. So you can see actually the definitions, okay, from the. Each person spend longer time on concept maps than.
Yes, so each person spend longer time on.
Yeah, that's our finding so far. Yeah. But we see it as a complementary. It's the same data set. It's just a complementary approach.
Any other question?
One question which could be on checklist for every presentation regarding databases, and it's about how available is this data? Is it downloadable? Is it API accessible?
Actually, not yet, but it's our aims to develop the APIs for the users. That's one of our next development. And also, one next development would be to try to convert the concept relations into machine-readable format so that they can be used by first of all, other users within the organization. There is a specific section of Wipo that deals with patent landscaping reports. They are data analysts, and what they're looking for are to map, basically, patent activity in the different subject fields. And I've been recently approached by a colleague speaking about silo work, okay? And she said, I've been using Wipo Pearl because we need keywords in order to find, patents, retrieve patents, and they were speaking about artificial intelligence. And I said, why you didn't tell me? I mean, because we can do something before. I mean, we can develop more the ontology or the concept relations before you look at and you use the data. And another question was that, why can you offer me the data in a way that I can just, push it into the system and retrieve it automatically? So that's the next step would be to change what we have, the data, into a readable machine-readable format, so that it can be made available, for different uses.
It would be really nice because reusability of data is a huge topic also in terminology. So another question is about these concept maps.
Yeah.
Is it easy for you as a terminologist to create them? Is it is somehow semi-automated maybe? What kind of interface? Can you describe this process? Because outcome is really impressive. I also had time to play just minutes ago, but I guess it's not that easy to...
It is not, actually, and one of the main problems is that there is no software that does this. I mean, we have a terminology management software, mainstream terminology management software, who allows you to build some kind of concept relations, but then the visualization, the display is not there. So we have developed an internal, version of the Wipo Pearl so that we can see what we create, okay? Although, unfortunately, it's not live, so we still need to upload the data, export the data, and upload the data in the other system in order to see what we create. So basically, the approach is the old one, So we get somebody who's a student or a terminologist to systematize all the concepts that are in the particular concept subject field. And then we enter the information, and then we visualize the information. So what we need is really a system that allows you to enter the data, see the data, and modify the data, at the same time live. And this doesn't exist, to my knowledge. I mean, there are systems that create taxonomies and ontologies, but then they have some kind of terminological management component, but it's not fully developed for terminology. So that's what is lacking in the current market. There is no software that does both.
It's fine? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amanda.